Russian Kazakhs from the Klimovsk District of the Bryansk Region made complaints against Öutin regime. They stated that the situation in the region is critical. They claim the consequences of drone attacks are being hushed up and local residents are left without support. Things are really bad here. For some reason, the media isn't covering this anywhere. They're not showing anything. In Khoromny, out of more than 400 houses, only 10 remain, all burned and damaged by drones. Where's our electronic warfare? Why are they silent? Why isn't this in the media? Complained the Russian Z-patriot. He noted that attacks on the area occur regularly. Just 3 days ago, there were massive and serious airstrikes in our regional village of Klimovo. All the gas stations are damaged. Our gas stations are not working. There are also police strikes. There are dead, there are wounded, and among the military, although no one knows about that either, no one is reporting. Where is the air defense? Why is everything at such a level? It's unclear, and everyone is silent, he said. According to him, residents are fleeing their homes en masse because houses are burning, drones are firing, food supplies aren't being delivered, and buses aren't running. He added that only those who have nowhere else to go are remaining in the village. It feels like no one needs us. They've abandoned us to fend for ourselves, declared the Russian Kazakh. He demanded that the authorities provide at least basic defenses, at least some help, some kind of defensive installations, electronic warfare. Can't they install electronic warfare to stop these drones from getting through? You can't shoot down this drone with a machine gun. You can reach it up to 50 meters with a rifle, and higher up, it's like you can't shoot it. We need electronic warfare, a way to suppress the drone's brain. We don't have any of that. Why? It's incomprehensible. It's a complete disgrace. We're asking for help. These complaints proved that even among supporters of the SVO, dissatisfaction with the defense's failures and Moscow's indifference to the problems of residents of border regions is growing. Recall recently, Ukrainian forces struck the 8N linear production dispatching station near the village of Naitopovichi in Russia's Bryansk Oblast. The Bryansk Oblast facility is part of the main oil pipeline system 8N Stalnoy Kon linear production dispatching station and is considered strategically important for supplying fuel for the Russian military. Ukrainian forces have repeatedly targeted Russian energy infrastructure in the area of Naitopovichi, a village some 50 kilometers north of the Russia-Ukraine border. In a separate attack, Ukraine's unmanned systems forces again targeted the Samara dispatching station in Russia's Samara Oblast. The facility blends high and low sulfur crude oil from various fields to produce the Urals export-grade oil. Samara Oblast lies some 800 kilometers from the front line in Ukraine.
The leaders of 5 Pacific Island nations on Friday warned the United Nations General Assembly about the impact of climate change, which makes their countries susceptible to rising sea levels and natural disasters. According to Associated Press, Felity Teo, the Prime Minister of Tuvalu, urged member states to keep the existential threat of climate change top of mind. It is my hope that the urgency to address the existential threats of climate change and sea level rise would not be overshadowed by the ongoing geopolitical competition between the superpowers and the military conflicts around the globe, said Teo. He was joined in his call by the leaders of the Republic of Fiji, the Kingdom of Tonga, Solomon Islands, and Samoa in demanding action and commitment to the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. The Paris Agreement, decided by international consensus in 2015, is a voluntary but binding document in which each country is asked to set its own national goal to curb planet-warming emissions and decide how much money it will contribute to the countries that will be hit hardest by climate change. This week included a special climate summit involving more than 100 world leaders. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva lead efforts to get countries to submit strong national carbon pollution plans before climate negotiations due to be held in Brazil in November.
The time has come to review the UN regional architecture. Climate change is a crisis multiplier that is defining our future. The World Meteorological Organization declared 2024 was the warmest year on record. This pushes us further off track from the 1.5 degrees goal we agreed to in Paris. Solomon Islands, despite having a minimal carbon footprint, has submitted an ambitious net positive third national determination contribution, NDC. We can do more with international partnerships, investing in reforestation and the conservation of our forests, including renewable energy investments. We need urgent and ambitious climate action.
In so doing, the Pacific leaders have declared and claimed. Excellencies, one of the biggest victims of the climate crisis is the ocean itself. Fiji depends on the health and wealth of the ocean. We need to step up efforts to sustainably use and manage our ocean resources, address plastic pollution, conserve biodiversity, and protect endangered species. Fiji's ratification of the BBNJ agreement this year is intentional and deliberate. We need to safeguard our ocean resources in line with the outcomes of the third UN conference in Nice. A much-needed shift is also required to address ever-increasing share of fish stocks exploited beyond sustainable levels in our economic exclusive zones and the high seas.
Heritage and the ocean is our very... The journey towards the UN summit on sea level rise next year must be a turning point, securing long-term commitments so that islands, nations like mine are not left to confront the prospect of irreversible loss and damage. As custodian of the Pacific Ocean, it is my hope that the urgency to address the existential threat of climate change and sea level rise would not be overshadowed by the ongoing geopolitical competition between the superpowers and the military conflicts around the globe.
Realized without urgent action. Tonga welcomes the Compulsio de Sevilla, adopted at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development earlier this year. For Tonga, this commitment is especially significant. It calls for a more inclusive, fair and transparent global financial system, one that better responds to realities of countries most at risk, including smaller island developing states. This speaks directly to Tonga's priorities, mobilizing equitable financing for climate resilience, disaster preparedness, and sustainable development.
Jointly realize regional delivery of ongoing initiatives through...
Unless we invest now in climate mitigation adaptation and resilient economies, we risk compounding both environmental and financial crises. We must do more to turn the tide, to honor our commitments and obligations, and to take urgent and ambitious climate actions now.
Excellencies,